M23 rebels are advancing in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo after capturing two key cities. In January, the Rwanda-backed group took Goma in North Kivu province, and on Sunday they pushed the Congolese army out of South Kivu's provincial capital, Bukavu. The UN says there are reports of summary executions and sexual violence. In the aftermath, civilians and the Red Cross are trying to work through it.
Here at the Place Feu Rouge in downtown Bukavu, volunteers from the Congolese Red Cross and the ICRC recovered two bodies left lying in the street. The volunteers take the necessary precautions, aiming to prevent the decomposing corpses from causing disease. Curious onlookers line up to film the unbearable scene. In Bukavu, it's difficult to determine the circumstances under which people have been killed, whether they were victims of rebel violence or, as in this case, looters lynched and burned alive.
It was the population's fierce expression of indignation that made this kind of thing happen. That's why we're also asking our young boys who've been stealing here and there to stop.
In several districts of the city, many business owners were victims of heavy looting after government forces retreated and local authorities abandoned the town. Prisoners were released and the town was ransacked. This young man's store was completely destroyed.
I'm so stressed. I've lost everything. Look, even here in the shop windows, a lot of Android phones have been stolen. Here at the traffic lights, there are more than 50 shops that have been looted. Street children, our soldiers, we're disappointed. We're very disappointed.
Warehouses belonging to the World Food Programme and UNICEF have also been cleaned out. Tons of flour, beans, medicines, and other much-needed medical supplies have disappeared. Emergency kits intended to save the lives of thousands of displaced people and malnourished children were plundered in the resulting power vacuum.
There really was systematic looting. Doors were destroyed, goods just taken away. All the donations earmarked for assistance of people in need, in war and humanitarian situations were taken. We must also say this is an expression of misery, because these kinds of actions clearly show the population is very hungry. The government should make much more effort to relieve the population from this extreme misery.
As the week gets underway in Bukavu, schools and banks have yet to open. Only a few small traders have reopened their shops, and a few motorcycle cabs are back at work. Meanwhile, the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels now have the city firmly in their control.
Let's get more on this from journalist Patricia Juan, who joins us on the line from Bukavu. Welcome to DW. After capturing the provincial capital, Bukavu, on Sunday, the M23 is now reportedly fighting in eastern Kivu province. Can you give us a sense of the scale of the violence?
Yeah, sure. Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu, is somehow the new domino that has fallen into the hands of the M23 rebels supported by Rwanda. They entered the city this weekend. The inhabitants of Bukavu just holed up in their homes watching the events unfolding. The death toll, though, was far smaller than in Goma. Following pressure from the church and the civil society, the Congolese armed forces had left the city, letting the rebels enter without much resistance. After the entry of the M23 into Bukavu, the attention is now focused on Katanga to the south and Ituri to the north. There have been some clashes there, but the M23 seems to actually be advancing with the Congolese troops just retreating. And in the north, there was some heavy fighting, but the civilian casualties are definitely far beyond what happened in Goma.
Let's talk about what's going on with civilians. The UN Rights Office says conditions for civilians caught up in the fighting are deteriorating quickly. What have you seen? What have you heard?
Indeed, civilians have been caught up in the conflict. Sexual violence has been widespread and summary executions have been committed by all parties in the conflict. There was also fighting in heavily populated areas, which led to many civilian deaths. Today, actually, Doctors Without Borders issued a communique stating that they urge all the parties to the conflict to ensure the protection of civilians, humanitarian workers, and medical infrastructure. Due to the volatility of the situation, there is definitely a risk of humanitarian needs exacerbating, particularly among the communities that have been displaced for a long time and that are now being pushed to go back home, but without much left to the areas where they're going back to.
OK, you've talked about cities falling like dominoes and the Congolese army withdrawing. How far do you anticipate this conflict extending? Does it just stay within the DR Congo, or does it become a regional conflict?
It's really difficult to say for now. I mean, there were obviously precedents where such conflict in the DRC extended to the regional countries, and while Rwanda is the main backer of the M23, and now Uganda has also entered in the conflict because Ugandan troops have seized the city of Bunia in eastern DRC, saying that they were intervening to defend a specific ethnic group, but the Ugandan army has been in a military agreement with the Congolese army for a long time to fight a rebel group. And so what exactly do they want? What are their interests? Is very, very confusing.
Okay.
And what are their alliances as well? And Burundi has also been involved. And you have the South African troops that are still stuck in Goma. So, yeah, it's totally possible that it could extend.
Thanks for talking us through that, Patricia. Journalist Patricia Juan in Bukavu.